Hello, this is Multi-Fanfic a Day. Today I'll be reading part 1 of a Halo My Little Pony crossover. Almost all I do are crossovers. But, anyways, I'll just start reading. A clicking noise filled the air as the wrench tightened the last nut into place. With a sigh of relief, Twilight's... Oh, I need to say who it's by and crap. Okay, so this is Nine Knackered Souls by Drlvo Robotnik. Drlvo Robotnik. Okay. Twilight Sparkles levitated the wrench back into one of the many toolboxes surrounding her workshop. She closed the lid and turned around to view her creation. It looked like a big metal door frame, 3 ponies high and 2 ponies wide. Wires snaked out and around for the frame to computers and control panels and generators placed further back in the workshop. Lights blinked and flickered on the contraption as beeps and hums filled the air. What is this thing supposed to be again, Twi? Rainbow Dash. What? That seems like something Applejack would say. What is this thing supposed to be again, Twi? Rainbow Dash asked, rather befuddled. This, Twilight replied, is a matter transmitter, she said proudly as she moved around different computers, typing in various commands and codes. Twilight turned around to see her friend's confused expression. You know how I teleport? Twilight asked. Dash nodded. It's just like that, only instead of just me being able to teleport myself and or someone next to me, this baby, she patted the frame affectionately, will be able to teleport any pony, regardless of their type, anywhere within its range. Dash nodded again, though quicker this time. So if I wanted, this could send me to Sweet Apple Acres right now? The Tom Colt asked. Twilight frowned. Well, hypothetically speaking, yes, she said reluctantly. I haven't actually tested anything with it yet, and I plan on running a lot of experience and simulations to make sure it'll be safe for ponies to use, Twilight finished. Why? What happens to a pony if it messes up? Dash inquired. If you get teleported to the wrong spot, say in the middle of a mountain, the purple-maned unicorn let the scenario trail off. Dash made a disgusted look. Why would any pony want to try that? Dash asked, incredulous. No, that's why I'm going to test it over and over, to make sure nothing bad happens. See? Twilight exclaimed. By the time I'm done, you won't even think twice about using this machine, she said, trying to assure Dash. The rainbow-haired Pegasus frowned. I don't know about that. I think I'll just stick to my wings, she replied, in an I'm not convinced tone of voice. Dash flapped her wings a few times to get the point across. Regardless, even if no pony wants to use it, it can still be used for transporting supplies and equipments. The possibilities are endless, Twilight responded, a bit more confidently. Uh-huh. So when are you gonna test it? Rainbow Dash asked. Twilight grinned. Now's a good time as any. Watch. Twilight levitated a cardboard box with the words "Test" written on it in the front of the frame. As I teleport this box from here to the other side of the room. Twilight turned her attention to the multitude of computers in the workshop. She stopped momentarily and gestured for Dash to join her. Come on, Dash. I'd rather you not be too close to the machine when it starts. Dash merely rolled her eyes, but figured it was the best thing to do what the egg-headed book pony said. Dash knew that Twilight was better than the rest of her friends when it came to magic and technology. It didn't change the fact that she was still a klutz and sometimes and occasionally carried over into her work. Therefore, while Dash wanted to watch, she didn't want to be caught up in a probable explosion that would ensue. Well, she started, trotting next to Twilight. Let's get this party started, the Pegasus pony said, trying to sound excited. That's the spirit, Dash! Twilight exclaimed. She handed Dash a set of tinted goggles. Here, just in case. Just in case was never specified, but Dash put on the goggles. Better to be safe than sorry. With a few telekinetic taps on the keyboard, Twilight activated the machine. With a groan, it started to hum and buzz to life. The noises built up to a steady roaring, like that of a real heavy wind. In the center of the arc, a spark flickered into existence. The spark quickly grew, and in a flash, a white portal enveloped the space-time inside the metal frame. Twilight cheered in excitement. It works! It's stable! This is amazing! The words died on her lips as the archway shuddered and plumes of sparks and smoke burst out of several computers. The portal rippled and wavered as angry blue streaks of light danced along the edges. Twi! Turn it off! Dash shouted over the growling catastrophe. I can't! Twilight yelled in panic, desperately typing on keyboards and control panels. It started a runway reaction! There's nothing I can... At that moment, a tremendous roar filled the air, and the portal suddenly grew beyond the confines of the gate and enveloped the room. The two ponies felt their hair stand on end as the light swallowed them, saw a flash, and then it has a bunch of zeros. Not sure if that's a sound or what. Yeah! Surrender and eat lead, dirty blues! The strange declaration echoed across the three-sided canyon, accompanied by the noisy growl of a warthog engine as the vehicle leaped over a stream and spun in a 180 in front of Valaha Base 17B. A figure dressed in red Spartan 4 armor jumped out of the passenger seat and brandished his shotgun. All right, blue-tards, come out with your hands up. Preferably tied so it'll make killing you easier, he shouted. Two other figures, one in orange armor driving the vehicle, and one in maroon armor manning the gun, hopped out of the warthog and stood alongside the red one. You know, we could always ask politely, Sarge. We're not actually at war anymore, the orange one said snidely. Shut up, Griff, the red one said. The red one, Sarge, yelled at him. Never stop preparing for the worst. The day might come when we might just have to come over here and kill every last dirty, stinking blue here. And a beautiful day it will be, Sarge explained. He then turned to the one in maroon armor. Simons, did you bring it? Sarge asked. Got it right here, sir, Simons replied, hefting a metal crate in front of him. Sorry if I'm saying some things wrong, but I've played Halo Reach, but only a tiny bit, and I don't know anything about Halo. Yeah. Excellent, Sarge exclaimed. Now we just need to get inside. Come on, scumbags, get out here before we drag you out ourselves, he shouted into the base entranceway. As if on cue, two distinct voices could be heard approaching the entrance. One was chatting happily whilst the other grumbled the whole way. Finally, two more figures dressed in the same armor as the others, the one was cyan and the other purple, emerged from the base. Great. You guys again. What the hell do you want now? The cyan-colored soldier asked. And why all the shouting? Simply asking politely goes a long way in a civilized... The purple soldier started to say before the Sarge cut him off. Stow it in, blidge pumps. I'm hereby commandeering this base in the name of the Red Army until further notice. Attempts to stop us will result in hot lead death dealt by my shotgun, Sarge informed them enthusiastically. Whatever. See if I give a rat's ass. Just don't break anything. Again, the cyan soldier retorted. See? All I had to do was ask. It's not hard at all. Blue base is open to all who... The purple soldier was interrupted again, this time by the cyan one. Cram it, Doc. Let's just make sure these bozos don't wreck any of our stuff. He nodded to Griff. Sup, Griff? "Sup, Tucker?" Griff replied. "Where's Wash and Caboose?" the red team soldier asked. "Wash is off somewhere around here. I think he's trying to fix some old comm equipment. Lord only knows what Caboose is up to," Tucker responded. "No doubt cowering in fear at our amazing rush tactic," Sarge stated, listening on their conversation. "All right, red team, to the kitchen," he said, striding down the hallway. "Kitchen? What the hell?" Tucker asked no one in particular. Griff was supposed to order actual food stocks, but all he got us was a year's worth of TV dinners, Simons informed the Blue. "And then the microwave broke," he said with a hint of bitterness and shot a look at Griff. "Hey, making food is hard. Besides, I can't wait 3 minutes if I'm hungry. It just makes more sense to cook all 3 meals at once," Griff said. "Tell that to the microwave," Simons responded, and followed Sarge deeper into the base. Griff followed, leaving the Blue Team members alone for a moment. "What the hell is going on up here?" They turned to find a figure in blue armor with yellow markings standing behind them. "Oh, hey, Wash. The Reds destroyed their microwave, and now they want to use ours," Tucker said, sounding bored. "Wait, so the Reds destroy their microwave, and now you're letting it says now you're letting use ours instead. I think there's supposed to be a them there. And now you're letting them use ours instead?" Wash repeated, sounding incredulous. "Sharing is caring," Doc piped up. "Shut up," Wash said sharply. "Why didn't you stop them?" he demanded from Tucker. "Hey, I'm not about to argue with a lunatic and a loaded shotgun in his hands," Tucker said dismissively. "Besides, you're the highly trained freelancer agent. Why didn't you stop them?" he asked. Wash sighed angrily. "Fine. Someone's got to keep this base from falling apart. Speaking of which, where's Caboose?" Wash said, annoyed. "Oh, he's downstairs working on some project in the reactor room," Doc said pleasantly. "What?" Wash and Tucker exclaimed at the same time. "You left him alone in the reactor room to work on some project?" Wash exploded angrily. "Go get him before he blows up the damn base!" Tucker shouted, panic rising in his voice. "Hey guys, why are we shouting? Is it a contest? I bet I can beat all you guys." A figure in royal blue armor popped out from a nearby corridor. He said the last phrase as one word. The other three stared at him for a second before Tucker spoke. "Caboose, what the hell were you doing in the reactor room?" he demanded. Caboose cocked his head to the side as though he were thinking. "Oh, that. I was just working on one of the best top-secret surprise ever!" he exclaimed, trying to sound bored at first, but getting caught up in his own experiment. "What were you working on, Caboose?" Wash asked through gritted teeth. Caboose looked around and sighed. "All right, but the surprise is ruined now," he warned. "I was building teleporters." "And that's where it ties up," Caboose stated. "I hooked them up to the reactor, and now we can go anywhere we want to." "What are the Reds doing here?" he asked, changing the subject. "Are they having a party? Is it someone's birthday? I love birthday parties. This guy sounds like Pinkie Pie," Caboose exclaimed, getting very excited. "No, Caboose, they're not here for a birthday party. They're just using the microwave," Tucker replied irritably. "Uh-oh," was all Caboose could say. The attention of the other three riveted to Caboose. "What do you mean, uh-oh, Caboose?" Wash said as calmly as he could manage. "Well," Caboose began slowly, "when I was setting up the system, I might have made a few adjustments to the reactor's power output that might be thrown off by the balance if someone uses, say, I don't know, a microwave, which might accidentally cause a power surge that could have a small chance of causing the reactor to explode," Caboose finished. "But I think we can agree that it's nobody's fault," he added. The others stared at him in disbelief. We gotta stop them before they... Wash started to say, but was interrupted by the base shuddering. The lights began to flicker, and an alarm sounded. A loud whine from the reactor room filled the air. Wash looked around at those assembled around him and sighed. God damn it. There was a bright flash, and then nothing. Unsync Ani Research Facility? Don't know what that is. Beginning primary power-up sequence, a technician stated. A group of technicians and an Ani officer stood in a control room, observing an electronics lab. Inside the lab was an oval-shaped metal device that was hooked up to a multitude of cables and wires. Easy. Remember, the carrier unit is unstable. We have all the time in the world. Don't rush this, the Ani officer stated. The device began to hum to life as power slowly ran through its circuits. Things seemed to be going smoothly until one of the consoles started beeping. The hell? Muttered one of the technicians. It says on of the This is... Did they even spell check this? That's not possible, he explained. The Ani officer was there in a second. What's wrong? He demanded. Oh wait, if you spell checked it, it would have said on. Okay. There's some type of unknown energy field that's enveloping the carrier unit. I don't know where it came from, the technician responded. Consoles around the room began to beep in alarm. Shut down everything! Don't let the carrier unit get... The officer's words were cut out by a sphere of light surrounding the device. There was a flash, and the sphere disappeared. The device smoked slightly. No readings of any type coming from the carrier unit. Whatever information was stored out on there is gone now, a different technician stated. The others nodded in agreement. The officer blanked and wondered how he could explain how one of the Ani's leads to the Freelancer Project fiasco had mysteriously self-destructed. Well, that sucked, whatever it was. Simons forced his eyes open and then shut them as brightly as the bright sky assaulted them. His head roared from his stomach and was busy doing flip-flops. He rolled onto his side and rubbed his face in the grass. It took him a moment for him to realize that he wasn't wearing his helmet. A slight breeze ticked his backside, and he suddenly was aware that he wasn't wearing the rest of his armor either. He slowly opened his eyes and looked down at himself. Then he blinked, shook his head, and looked again. This isn't possible! Growing panic and confusion emanated from his voice. What the fuck? Trying to stand, Simmons looked over to where he had heard Griff curse and promptly fell over. Griff, too, was a pony. A pony with wings. I'm tripping. That's the explanation. There was something in the TV dinners, and now I'm totally tripping, Griff said, trying to rationalize why he was suddenly a pony. Afraid not, Wignut. Both Simmons and Griff looked to see a red pony with a great tail and a buzz-cut mane approaching them. A set of yellow sergeant stripes adorned either side of his rear flank. Men, I have some good news and some bad news. The two stared at him, hoping beyond logic that for once their leader had formulated a sane theory that didn't involve violence. The bad news is we're dead. The Blues obviously booby-trapped their equipment in a suicide effort to take us down. It seems they succeeded, he stated, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. The good news is we've ended up in some strange purgatory. We can use this opportunity to find the Blues and pay them back for their in situ sabotage. Even better news! Whatever gods in control around here have seen fit to grant us the abilities to make up for taking our weapons. Sarge stopped for a moment, sniffed, and muttered something about missing his beloved shotgun before continuing. I've been blessed with strength. Simmons, you've been given a horn to stab others with. He gestured to the horn Simmons just realized was sticking out of his forehead. Griff here has been blessed with wings, allowing him to conduct kamikaze attacks on the enemy. It's the perfect ability for him, Sarge exclaimed gleefully. Wait, aren't kamikaze attacks just like suicide bombings, but with planes? Griff asked, momentarily forgetting his new pony body. Yep, like I said, the perfect ability, Sarge replied cheerfully. To hell with that! I got wings now. I'm out of here, Griff exclaimed angrily and took off for the skies. He crashed moments later. Fuck this. Flying is hard, he grumbled. Being a pony sucks. I have to work out twice as much just to move around. And I don't have any hands to hold the chips with, Griff whined. Shut it, dirtbag. And what's with those out-of-reg tattoos you have on your backsides? Sarge shouted at both other ponies. Huh? Griff looked at his flank. Stamped on it was a hammock strung between two trees. That's nice. Simmons looked at his own sides and saw that he had a computer monitor with a kiss imprint on them. What could that possibly mean? I'm sure Halo fans would get it. Anyways, what are these for? Griff exclaimed. He tried to paw the markings off, but only succeeded in wiping dirt off his coat. And why don't they come off? He said, becoming more and more confused. I think they're permanent, Simmons stated. He studied the marks on the three of them and thought striking him. What if they represent personality traits? He said aloud. After eyeing Griff's mark for a few more seconds, he nodded his head. Definitely personality traits. Well, yours fits you perfectly then, Griff smiled with a smirk. Kiss ass, he added. Simmons snarled and pawed at the ground in Griff's direction. Why don't you see how far I can fit this in your horn into your lazy skull? Simmons threatened. Griff moved to challenge Simmons, but Sarge stopped them. Knock it off, you two. Simmons, as much as I would like to see your suggestion... As much as I would like to see your suggestion in action, Griff is still a valued member of the team, he informed them. The two looked at him in shock. I am? He is? They exclaimed at the same time. Of course, Sarge replied. Griff has several important duties he performs. Meat shield and emergency food supply on only being two of many, he explained. Griff rolled his eyes and Simmons sighed. Now enough jaw-jacking. Time to find those treacherous blues and kill 'em again, Sarge stated, far too excited at the prospect. Griff was about to protest when he noticed something. Good news, Sarge. Looks like the blues are coming to us. He pointed a hoof. Appearing over a nearby hilltop was Blue Team. Fuck. Never drink again, Tucker muttered. The world swam as his eyes tried to focus. For some reason, his hair kept getting in his eyes, which was weird since his hair was always short. He tried to push himself up with hands, only to come to a shocking and frightening realization. He didn't have hands. He had hooves. Holy fuck balls! He exclaimed. He lost his balance and fell on his backside. His entire body had changed, not just his hands. I'm a horse? He murmured. I'm a fucking horse? Tucker repeated loudly. This was a dream. Caboose had blown up the base, and the explosion had knocked him back. It was obvious. Any moment, Caboose or Doc would be shaking him awake. Caboose would be making up terrible excuses why it wasn't his fault. Wash would be raving about the destruction of their home, and Doc would be saying some stupid optimistic bullshit. Hey, Tucker, I see you're a pony too. Or not. Tucker slowly sat up and looked over his shoulder. There was a purple pony with a light green mane standing next to him. He had a horn coming out of his forehead, and the International Red Cross symbol on his rear flank. Doc? Tucker asked uncertainly. And Caboose? Caboose appeared on Tucker's other side, startling him. Tucker tried to regain his balance and felt muscles on his back being worked up in an effort to steady himself. Sitting back up, he suddenly noticed there was a pair of wings on his back. A tattoo of a heart with an energy sword going through it adorned his own flank. Interesting. He also noticed his coat matched his armor, and he had a black mane and tail. "Isn't this awesome, Tucker?" Caboose explained. Tucker looked back at Caboose. The blue team soldier was now a large-looking pony with a deep blue coat, a blonde mane and tail, and a simple yellow smiley face on his flank. "I've always wanted to be a pony. The air's so cool!" he shouted as he pranced around his teammates. Tucker shook his head, trying to get his mind right. Okay. Maybe we are horses, or ponies, or whatever. Maybe this is real," Tucker said to himself, and inhaled deeply and held it for a second. "Why the hell are we ponies?" he shouted. "I'm not sure. Maybe that explosion transported us to a different dimension where—" Doc began, but was interrupted again. 1. Shut the hell up. 2. That sounds as stupid as hell, Tucker said as he stood up and took a few careful steps. After a moment of practice, he turned to the other two. "All right, let's go. And Caboose, if you keep prancing, I swear I'll use your bones to make glue." The trio set off, though it seemed that nothing Tucker said could dampen Caboose's enthusiasm or Doc's optimism. After traveling a while, they came to the top of a hill. Tucker looked down and groaned. "Aw, fuckberries," he muttered. The three ponies waited for them at the bottom. "It's the Blues! Get 'em!" Rainbow Dash stumbled forward and placed her hoof against the tree before retching. She was suddenly glad she'd eaten light that day. "Oh, Dash, I'm so sorry," Twilight exclaimed, wrapping a hoof around her shoulders in support. "I never ever planned on this happening," she said fretfully. "It's all right, Twi," Dash said, spitting out the remains and traces of stomach bile. "Accidents happen. Besides," she said, standing upright again, "it's never a dull way when you're tinkering with your sciencey stuff," Dash said jokingly. Twilight nodded, but looked away, still embarrassed. "Yeah, but it's still my fault, too. I was eager to test my theories and didn't spend time to troubleshoot the system. Now my lab's probably trashed, and I'm back to square one. On top of it all, it could have seriously hurt you," Twilight responded glumly and shivered at the last sentence. Dash rolled her eyes. Better put the brakes on Twilight's guilt train before it took off with her. "Calm down, Twi," Dash insisted. "So you messed up. It happens. Heck, I mess up plenty of times on my stunts. The important thing is nobody was hurt, and next time you'll be a bit more careful," Dash said, trying to knock some sense into her friend. Twilight was silent for a moment, then giggled. "What's so funny?" Dash asked suspiciously. "Nothing, Dash. It's just, I never would have thought you would have... I never would have thought you..." It says the time. It says, "It's just I never would have thought you the time to give sound advice." It's supposed to say type, I think. Twilight said with another snicker. Dash frowned for a second before she realized Twilight was joking. "Hey now, I'm allowed to be deep and smart too, you know," the Tomcolt said in a mock of seriousness. They both laughed and let that one go. "Let's go," Twilight said, recovering a little from her earlier depression. "I'd like to get home so I can clean up. Hopefully I didn't burn down the library," she said, only half joking. Dash nodded and attempted to fly. She hit the ground a second after takeoff. "Ow, what the heck? Everything got all spinny and I couldn't balance right," Dash complained. Twilight thought for a moment. "I guess the teleport threw off your internal equilibrium," she said offhandedly. Dash gave her a funny look. It messed with your sense of balance, Twilight said with a sigh. It's nothing to worry about. Most unicorns get it after their first port. But she's... Oh. You'll be fine in a few minutes. The purple pony explained further. Dash nodded. Whatever you say, Twilight. Let's just get going. All this stuff has made me hungry, Dash said. Twilight nodded, and they headed off in the direction of Ponyville. Sometime later. And so I'm like, show him or fold him. And he's all like, Rainbow Dash was telling Twilight about a card game she had learned in Appaloosa when Twilight held up her hoof. Shh! Do you hear that? The unicorn asked. Dash cocked her head for a moment and listened. Voices could be heard in the distance, and they didn't sound happy. Sounds like some ponies trying to argue up a storm. Saw it happen once. True story, Dash said. Uh-huh, Twilight replied, only half listening. Sounds like it's coming from over this way. Maybe we can help. Dash shrugged. My throat's all dry. Dash shrugged. As long as it's quick. I'm getting hungry, the Pegasus stated, rubbing her belly to reinforce the point. I'm sure it won't be too long. Let's go, Twilight replied. With that, she trotted off in the direction of the voices. Dash close behind. They reached a clearing and saw a group of colts a few yards from them, arguing viciously. Excuse me, Twilight stated politely. The group ignored her. Excuse me, she said a bit louder. Still nothing. Twilight heard Dash snicker behind her and scowled. Gentle colts! She shouted, using her magic to amplify her voice. The other ponies stopped arguing and looked at the newcomers. Their response was not what Twilight had expected at all. More dirty blues! An ambush! Ah, I knew it! Come on, men! Prepare to make your last stand! They'll know Red Team won't go down without a fight, said the Red Earth pony. The Orange Pegasus at his side scoffed. Last stand? Screw that! The army doesn't pay me enough to die for my country, it said dismissively. Insubordination. Simons, make a note. If we survive this, remind me to kill Griff, the red pony bellowed. Twilight gaped at the red pony and wondered if he was serious. Yes, sir, the Moon Unicorn nodded. Those aren't our teammates, numbnuts. The Aqua Pegasus sneered at the first three. Hello there. Nice to meet you. The purple unicorn it says at his said, told Twilight. I think it's at his side. There's so many typos. It's difficult. You're not here to hurt us, are you? He added a bit hesitantly. Twilight and Dash shot the unicorn an odd look. What the hell was that supposed to mean? Oh my gosh! More ponies? This is the best day ever! The blue earth pony shouted excitedly. Twilight blinked at the stallion. He rivaled Big Macintosh in size, and Pinkie Pie in unrestrained enthusiasm. Shut up, blue tard, the red pony barked. He turned his attention back to the aqua pony. What do you mean they're not yours? They're blue, ain't they? Blues are like mangy dogs. They stink. Also, they travel in packs. Hey, I do not stink. And what's wrong with being blue anyway? You've got something against blue-furred ponies or something? Dash yelled. She glared at the red colt and unfurled her wings, ready to strike. The red pony was about to say something before Twilight could cut him off in an attempt to regain control of the situation. Now, every pony calm down, she said forcefully. We haven't had the chance to introduce ourselves. I'm Twilight Sparkle, and this is Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash? Damn, you're like one-horse gay pride parade. The orange Pegasus. Griff, was it? Interrupted Twilight. He snickered at his own joke. Dash bristled and audibly growled. Oh, you are so dead, she snarled. Bring it on, pride pony, Griff replied arrogantly. That's it, Dash spread her wings and shot after the orange Pegasus. Griff yelped in surprise and took to the air. It's not polite to discriminate against others because of their sexual preferences, the purple unicorn, not Twilight, called out after him. Shut up, asshole, Griff responded, while trying to dodge Dash. Hey, don't tell my guy to shut up. This whole thing's your team's fault anyway, the Aqua Pegasus shouted at Griff. Our fault? If you scumbag blues hadn't booby-trapped you... It says you microwave. If you blues haven't booby-trapped your microwave, we wouldn't be here, the red earth pony shouted back. That wasn't my fault, the blue earth pony chimed in. Twilight could only gape in confused amazement as to how the situation had deteriorated. She shook her head and took charge. Quiet! She bellowed as loudly as possible. At the same time, she used her magic to hold Dash and Griff in place. Every pony, please calm down, she shouted. The shouting stopped, and even Griff and Dash turned to look at her. Fighting isn't getting anything accomplished here. Let's all relax and take a deep breath. Okay? Twilight asked. The other ponies slowly nodded. So why don't we finish introductions and see if we can work out the problem here, she said. After a few moments of learn the news ponies' names, Twilight got down to business. So, what seems to be the problem here, she asked. The Reds were using our microwave. At the same time, Caboose was messing with our reactor, and the resulting explosion, we got lost. Can you show us the nearest town? Tucker said, cutting off Doc. Twilight just gave the two a strange look, but Doc just shrugged. Well, the nearest town is Ponyville. She heard Griffin scoff and dash out him a dirty look. And we happen to be going in that direction, Twilight said hurriedly, keeping Griff and Dash from arguing again. You're more than welcome to join us if you like, the book pony finished with a smile. Dash made a no motion with her hooves, but Twilight intentionally ignored it. I guess we don't got much of a choice. All right, Missy, lead the way, Sarge replied. The others made half-hearted agreements with the motion, and Twilight forced a smile. She hoped she hadn't just taken on more than she could handle. All right, then. Every pony follow me, and we'll be there in no time. Twilight cheered with false enthusiasm. As the group began to move out, Caboose suddenly stopped and turned to look at the empty section of the forest. He looked at the spot intently. Caboose, come on. Hurry up, or we're leaving you, Tucker's voice called out. Okay, Caboose shouted back and hurried to catch up. The colt completely forgot about what he was looking at. Interesting. Through a patch of leaves and branches, it says leaved and branches, Jesus. A set of eyes watched the group disappear down the trail. It had stealthily moved through the forest, and it had found the group of ponies in the middle of their argument. It watched as Twilight and Dash introduced themselves. Throughout it all, it meticulously studied every detail about the ponies before it. Finally, when the coast was clear, it began to move again. It didn't know why it was here, why it was in this body, and why it wasn't dead. What it did know was that some being greater than it had just given it a second chance, and it knew just what to do. With a low growl, it set off to confront the ponified red and blue teams. I do not get what that's supposed to be. Author's note. Oh. So that's chapter 1 of 6. Bye-bye.